Hello, my sparkles, my perfect subscribers, and a less enthusiastic hello to the rest of you. I am, of course, Crystaline, and I am a person of wisdom. I am a spiritually connected individual. I am a mentor. I am a mother, not in the literal sense of having a child that I rear, but in the broader sense of being a woman of great esteem. Recently, I have been so inspired by the unconventional. I saw a book in a bookstore. It was, of course, a local bookstore, not one of these big box bookstores, but a little mom and mom shop in the city of Portland. And I found this. Pokémon Super Extra Deluxe Essential Handbook. The need to know stats and facts of over 875 characters. When you see this book, it may not instantly stand out to you as a book that is full of wisdom, love, light, and life lessons. But as I started to flip through the Super Extra Deluxe Essential Handbook, I realized that these so-called Pokemon have a lot more to teach us than meets the eye. So I've decided to tap into them on the spiritual plane and see what wisdom they can provide us today. So we will be doing a flip through of this book, landing on the pages that we're called to land on and seeing what wisdom those pages impart. And then we will end today with a special reading from this deck of cards that I purchased at Best Buy. These cards were behind the counter. You had to specifically request them, which tells me that the people at Best Buy are aware that they have something significant on their hands when it comes to these so-called Pokemon cards, and that they realize that these are a wealth of information that ought to be guarded and reserved for those with the ability to process that information. So without further ado, let us begin to seek guidance in our essential handbook. I often say that magic exists everywhere as long as you are magical. And as someone who is quite tapped in to their innate magical aura, I do see magic in this book. All right. This is a reading technique that I have applied for ages, ever since I started to become spiritually involved, taking courses online that have connected me to the plane, so to speak. The plane not being an air vehicle, but rather the dimension on which we all reside. And when I say this reading technique, I don't mean literal reading. I can't read this fast. No human can. But I do mean reading the wisdom of a book. And I just flip through the pages until I find one that sticks out, that I land on without consciously deciding to land there, and we'll see if that page brings any wisdom, comfort, solace, any message at all to us. Okay. Let's see what we have on these 2 pages. Let's see what resonates. So the first Pokemon is Hariyama. Luckily, this book includes a how to say it portion so that we are not mispronouncing the names of these beloved guides. All right. Although they enjoy comparing their strength, they're also kind. They value etiquette, praising opponents they battle. I think we have a lot to learn from Hariyama when it comes to that. Although they enjoy comparing their strength, they are also kind, which I think alludes to the fact that all of us have an innate strength within us, but that strength does no good if we cannot use that strength for good. They value etiquette, praising opponents that they battle. So the next time that you're up against an opponent, whether that be someone who is competing for the same job that you're competing for, perhaps at a Dunkin' Donuts, you are both vying for the position of lead donut girl. Perhaps you work at a construction site and you're competing with somebody for who can lift the most bricks. Next time you are in any type of competition, praise your opponent. See the value in what they do. Recognize that value. Yeah. Hariyama that are big and fat aren't necessarily strong. There are some small ones that move nimbly and use moves skillfully. I think that this wisdom is perhaps not the one that we're seeking. Hariyama that are big and fat aren't necessarily strong. Even if you're big and fat, and I'm not calling you big or fat, that is up for you to decide, you are still strong. And if you are nimble and small, you are also strong. Yes. Let's see what else we have here. We have Hattenna. All right. Here's Hattenna right here. Via the protrusion on its head, it senses other creatures' emotions. If you don't have a calm disposition, it will never warm up to you. Maybe some of us feel a lot like this Hattenna from time to time, where we sense the emotions of everyone around us. And if someone comes to us with tension, with anger, we'll never warm up to them. I think this is a reminder that we're all sensitive to the feelings of others, and that you receive what you put out in the world. And whenever possible, take a deep breath and remind yourself that we are all just spinning on this great ball of gas, and no one person deserves to feel the wrath of our anger, because all of us are angry, aren't we? That we are spinning on this giant ball of gas, and we haven't been given a playbook, and we haven't been given a set of instructions, and we're confused, and that confusion can lead to anger. But others might not be so willing to bond to us if we lead with that anger. So perhaps that means let's find productive ways of expressing our anger so that we do not oscillate those around us, ostracize those around us, so that we can come at them with a calm energy. And then, of course, the Hattenna evolves, as we all do. I think the evolution of the Pokémon is just a reminder that change is the only constant. That as we grow, we will no longer be the small, cute, pocket-sized versions of ourselves. We will become the fully expressed versions of ourselves, whether or not we necessarily want to become that version. Alright, so this is the highest evolution of the Hattenna. It is called Hatterene. It emits psychic power strong enough to cause headaches as a deterrent to the approach of others. How telling. Have you been doing that lately? Has your insistence for a calm environment led you to become someone who causes headaches in others? If you're too loud around it, you risk being torn apart by the claws on its tentacle. This Pokemon is also known as Forest Witch. This is a reminder, I believe, to adapt to the feelings of others. It's not necessarily a positive thing to let yourself get to the point where you're causing headaches to anyone who approaches. Not all evolution is positive. Not all change leads to a better version of oneself. Sometimes, as we grow older, we only become more fixed in our perceptions of the world. What a great reminder that is of that. Let us flip to a new page and see what comes up. Okay. First we have Ditto, type normal. It can reconstitute its entire cellular structure to change into what it sees, but it returns to normal when it relaxes. Oh, if Ditto isn't all of us, every time that we go to the office, we change our entire cellular structure to fit in with what is expected of us. But when we relax, we are a blob, waiting for outside information to tell us who we are, what our personality is. I think this is a reminder to be aware of the way that you change to suit others. No one deserves for you to put your personality away. You deserve to have a personality, and you cannot develop one if every time that you're around anyone else, you become them. How poignant. When it encounters another Ditto, it will move faster than normal to duplicate that opponent exactly. Aren't we all rushing around faster than we need to be rushing? Aren't we all Ditto in some ways, trying to keep up with the people zooming around us? Oh, how applicable. Now we have Dodrido, one of Doduo's two heads splits to form a unique species. It can run up to 40 miles per hour in prairies. And this, of course, is Doduo. I think that perhaps this Pokemon is telling us, once you begin to split yourself into, that splitting may never cease. Perhaps you think, oh, it won't be so bad if I have a home persona and then a work persona. But then suddenly it becomes a home persona, a work persona, and then a church persona if you're somebody that attends religious services in a structured format such as the church. And then perhaps it becomes there's a different version of you at the gym and a different version of you when you're walking through the marshals. So I think this is a reminder that once you start to divorce one part of yourself from another, perhaps you won't be able to undo that. And then finally, we have Donphan. Alright, Donphan's favorite attack is curling its body into a ball, then charging its foe while rolling at high speeds. Once it starts rolling, this Pokemon can't stop very easily. Once again, this message is clear. Once you start rolling down a path, it is easier said than done to stop rolling down that path. It may seem innocent enough at first to start doing X, Y, or Z, but suddenly you are on the path of X. And is that truly a path that you want to be on? Because you are rolling, you are a compact ball, you are rolling down that path and you cannot stop yourself. So for example, maybe you're in college and it comes time to choose a major, and you are pulled, of course, to the arts, to history, to things of that nature, but you also have a voice in your head saying, do business. And if we listen to that voice, which is often our mother or father's voice, and then we're suddenly majoring in business. And then a couple years down the line, we're getting an MBA, a master's in business. And then a couple more years down the line, and we're moving to San Francisco to keep up with Silicon Valley. And then we are elderly, and we are looking back upon our life, and we are wondering where it went. Something to consider. I believe we will flip to 2 more pages, and then we will move on to our Pokemon card reading. Just waiting. Oh. This is Malamar. Malamar is an overturning Pokemon. It is a dark psychic Pokemon. This must be applicable. Gazing at its luminescent spots will quickly induce a hypnotic state, putting the observer under Malamar's control. And haven't we all been in the position where we've been distracted by the physical appearance of a manipulative person? Gazing at its luminescent spots will quickly induce a hypnotic state, putting the observer under Malamar's control. It's said that Malamar's hypnotic powers played a role in certain history-changing events. And that seems likely. Consider it. Perhaps the luminescent spots are the highlighter on Kylie Jenner's face. And you are so mystified by the sparkle that you are not listening. You are not hearing what is being said when she is selling you a stick, a lipstick stick for $28. You're not listening to yourself anymore. You're so mesmerized. We can think about historical figures who have been said to be charismatic, mesmerizing. How would we have all benefited if more people were able to ignore the sparkle and see the substance? I'm thinking specifically of Ronald Reagan. One more page, and then we will move on to the cards. Oh, this is the page that jumped out at me. This is the page I received. So we have Finneon. Finneon is a water-type Pokemon, wingfish Pokemon. When night falls, their pink patterns begin to shine. They're popular with divers, so there are resorts that feed them to keep them close. It lures in its prey with its shining tail fins. It stays near the surface during the day and moves to the depths when night falls. I think there are a few messages here. Let's dive in. They're popular with divers, so there are resorts that feed them to keep them close. Be wary of exploitation. Is somebody feeding you to keep you close because you provide them with a service? when somebody is doing what seems like kindness is for you, be alert, be aware. Are there possible motives behind that kindness? Is that kindness a way to lure you somewhere you ought not to be? I did just receive a message on my communication device, but I am choosing to ignore that message because I'm here with you, and that is far more important. Additionally, the shiny tail on the surface during the day, but then slinks into the depths at night. Sometimes all that glitters is not gold, and it does reside in the dark underbelly. All right, we have Fluffy. Fluffy is a wool Pokemon, and the places on its body where fleece doesn't grow, the skin is rubbery and doesn't conduct electricity, those spots are safe to touch. It stores electricity in its fluffy fleece. If it stores up too much, it will start to go bald in those places. How very significant. Are you storing up too much electricity, too much pent-up energy? Are you starting to go bald in some places? Think about it. There are times when we hold on to things too tightly, to the point where they wear us down. What are you holding on to so tightly that it's perhaps causing you harm? Is it an idea? Is it money? Is it a rigid, moralistic view of something that is perhaps more nuanced than you're willing to admit? Okay. This is finally Flabebe. Flabebe is a single bloom Pokemon. It's not safe without the power of a flower, but it will keep traveling around until it finds one with the color and shape it wants. Wow. Flabebe wears a crown made from pollen it's collected from its flower. The crown has hidden healing properties. Oh, how very poignant. It's not safe without the power of a flower, but it will keep traveling around till it finds one with the color and shape that it wants. Is that you? Are you unsafe? But you keep being provided with opportunities and you keep ignoring them because they are not the color and the shape that you want. I don't necessarily condemn Flabebe for being picky, but I think there are lessons to be learned in the idea that safety is sometimes more important than the aesthetic. Something to think about. Let's shuffle this deck. We'll allow whatever message falls out to fall out. Whenever that occurs, we're just going to swirl the cards around a bit. received a card. This is the Pokemon Quaxwell. I looked for this Pokemon in my Pokemon guide, and it is not in the guidebook, which I think is so very significant because we don't always have a guide to tell us what things mean. There are times where we have to figure things out for ourselves. So let's look at what we see. Quaxwell is holding up a peace sign, which I think indicates a desire for peace that we all feel. We see in the background that the world is tilted. Perhaps this Quaxwell is looking for peace in a world that doesn't accommodate such a thing. I think some of us are sometimes disappointed that we seem to be looking for something that our tilted world won't provide. The colors are blue. This is a water type Pokemon. Water is a huge part of our planet. And a lot of us are so far from the water. Perhaps you live in a landlocked location. Perhaps you are dehydrated. I think this is a reminder to seek that which is clear, like water. Ah. It came out quite quickly. Our next card is Baxcalibur, and he is also not in our guide because life is funny that way. Okay. Baxcalibur, super cold. As often as you like during your turn, you may attach basic water energy card from your hand to one of your Pokemon. Let's look at Baxcalibur. He is turning something that many people see as a negative, the cold, into his strength. Is there a way that you can do that with one of your personality traits? Is there a personality trait that perhaps you've always seen as negative? Assertiveness, passiveness, gullibility. Is there a way for you to turn that into a strength? Your assertiveness is how you get things done. Your passivity is a gift to others that you allow them to lead. Perhaps your gullibility is just because of your open heart and kindness. Don't forget to like and subscribe.